positively speaking, technology has allowed me to prepare for radio shows and keep up with news in a much more prompt fashion. I'm able to go through my Twitter timeline, see what people are posting about on Facebook, go to message boards, go to newspapers' websites, online recruiting services, and see a constant flow of updated news.
I would say that the effect has been positive from the standpoint of with social media. I think in the past, and I've even witnessed it some myself, that companies would actually make decisions to not tell everything that they should tell, perhaps. And with social media today, I think you have to be truthful and get the information out to the public quicker. So I think it's really made companies more ethical, and I think it's a good change.
I think that recently I've noticed online, especially brands or larger companies getting called out. So I think it makes it a lot easier for people to be held accountable. Whereas maybe 10 years ago, if somebody did something unethical, you'd read about it in the paper, you might read some editorials about it. But now, within a few minutes of something coming up that someone determines as unethical or questionable, there can literally be like millions of people tweeting and blogging and blah, 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 and just broadcasting everywhere.
So in the sense that, like, this camera might give people an idea or an impression of something, you know, like maybe even if they have the best interest in mind, that they get swept up in the hype of this camera within the industry, you know, I think it really falls, you know, like to the people, but the camera now gives more people the opportunity to half-ass something.
Now it's no longer, say, like 3 major networks with the 5:30 newscast where they're trying to appeal to everyone. Now, all of a sudden, you have all the specialized news in which, you know, say, for instance, Fox News realized that, hey, you know, there's a big audience out there that are distrustful of the so-called liberal press, and therefore what we'll do is we'll cater to these people with the viewpoint of the conservative, and we'll basically tell them what they want to know.
I'd have to say in the early days we were really focused on doing pitches about what our products could do, the features and benefits, and that has really evolved to more what value do we offer to, I work in the agriculture area, so what value do we offer agribusinesses and farmers?
It negatively affects my medium because you have to be careful what information you're taking and you're going to use and present on the air in sports talk radio. I'll give you a perfect example. A Husker football player posted on their Facebook status a couple weeks ago that they were done with their obligations at the University of Nebraska. You can either go to the air live with that and just say their Facebook status, or you can just not mention it and not talk about it. Is it news? I don't know. Has anybody interviewed the player? What's true? Did he quit the team? Those are details you certainly need to figure out before you go to the air with it.
I think it does make it easier for people to commit questionable activity with the newer multimedia tools, or let's say the prevalence of photoshopping.
Yeah.
Particularly in the news, where we've seen in the last few years some people getting caught doing that. The same goes for people that are in video or advertising. Obviously, there's a lot of questionable things that can be achieved using the tools we have now.
Amateurs can pick up this camera, buy the kit lens, an extra battery, and a memory card, and then claim that there's somebody who does this for a living, and not have to really, abide by any kind of like conduct of, being a professional, just a professional.
They're not so much concerned about covering what, is necessarily the most important story. People now, because of the media, whatever's trending on, say, Twitter or talking points or whatever else, that's what they cover.
Oh, more irresponsible journalism. Because there are. What's really sad is there are so many there are so many great journalists that are lumped into the irresponsible media as a whole. I feel like there are a lot of bad journalists that feel like their name and the fact that they're getting a story out quicker than another medium is more important to them than actually getting the story correct. And especially with the 24/7 news cycle, when you're recycling stories over and over again, when something does come up, you want that break from the norm. And I think a lot of journalists use that just so they can feel more important and they can make sure that they got the scoop before somebody else did.